Good morning, doctor. My name is Yeoh, matrix number 279878. Today, I'm going to present the assignment 1. In this video, I'm going to discuss about 5 different topics. The first is the project life cycle. Second one, activities involved during construction project. The third part is the key players. The fourth part is the project planning and controlling. And the last, which is the fifth part, is a successful construction. The project life cycle is separated into 4 different phases. The first phase is the initiation phase. Every construction project starts with the initiation phase whereby the project objective or needs is determined. Most project objectives are defined primarily as a business problem or opportunities. A business case or feasibility studies is typically prepared at this stage, which will look at all the factors required during the build. This will help determine whether continuing with the project makes sense for the business. At this phase, which is also considered the conceptualization phase, typically goes through 2 sub-phases. The first is concept approval and the second is design approval. For example, if a company owner comes up with the idea of building a new commercial premises, the stakeholders involved will go through the process of approving this concept first. They will study and examine the feasibility study as well as all concern, questions, and recommendations. At this point, the team will agree whether they will indeed build the commercial premises or scrap the idea altogether. When a concept is approved, this goes to the second sub-phase where design companies are requested to bid or propose designs with attached cost estimations and timeline. This gives a more detailed look onto whether the project is really feasible or not. Once a building project is approved for construction, a project manager is appointed at this stage to further evaluate the project elements. The project manager will then prepare a project initiation document before moving to the next stage. The second stage is planning phase. This is the most important phase of the construction project life cycle where the entire scope of a project is defined. The planning phase is even deemed more important than the execution phase. While estimated costs and programs are often identified as early as the initiation phase, this is the time where every single element is detailed. The project manager will start breaking down all the work involved, identifying the required manpower and material resources, mapping out project timelines, and detailing the budget. This is also the stage where the project manager anticipates any threats or risks that may arise during the construction. Part of the planning phase is appointing all the different constructors and third-party companies involved in the building construction. This can take a lot of time and effort, which why the project manager must be organized and experienced to know which one are offering reasonable services when it comes to cost and quality versus those who are over-promising to win the bid. It may sound easy, but in reality, the person in charge must employ excellent project management techniques to ensure that very small details is taken into consideration. A slip-up in planning phase can have program and financial implications. At the stage of the planning stage, there would be a solid project plan with a true roughly crafted budget and timeline that all the parties involved in the constructions can refer to. The third phase is execution phase. This is also known as the implementation phase of a project when all the tasks outlined in the plan are carried out. Every person who has worked in the construction would acknowledge the importance of project management at this stage to ensure all the required tasks and deliverables are performed on time and on budget. In an ideal world, everyone performed their tasks according to the plan. However, this is not always the case. There are several factors, whether natural or man-made, that can affect the progress of a project. When this happens, the project manager must be able to adjust and adapt to these changes with the minimum impact possible on the cost and timeline. In case of any major delays or issues, the project manager should alert the stakeholders as early as possible to find solutions that can mitigate further problems. The project plan must also be regularly updated and revised as necessary to reflect the status of the project. The last stage is the closing phase. The closing phase is the final stage of the project management life cycle. Once all the tasks are completed and the project is finalized, the last step is to properly close the project. During this point, the project management team must prepare the handover all the required project documentation, including contracts, final costs, and any relevant paperwork. Project manager must also ensure that all supplier and third-party contracts are resolved and all final payments are processed. The closing phase is also an opportunity to evaluate the project and provide recommendations on how similar problems can be avoided in the future project. The activities involved during construction project. All the activities involved in construction work together to create a great projects, big buildings, and impressive structures. Not every activity is used in every project, but it is certain that several different activities are used in order to build a safe, efficient, and functional structure for its user, no matter what that structure may be. Below are the 11 different types of construction activities. Marking and grading. Marking is one of the first construction activities which involve marking the area of the plot for reference. This helps the workers to always be able to orient themselves in terms of their workspace. Grading helps to ensure that a building will even last long and maintain maximum support. There may be particular circumstances when something is being constructed that would require a slight incline or decline to the base surface. In this case, it would be very important that the incline is exactly the correct angle. It is a matter of safety and plays a major role in the construction management. Grading uses big machine to help ensure the space is level or that is at the appropriate angle that it is supposed to be. The second activity is excavation. This is a fairly broad term. There are several different types of construction activities in excavation. In general, the term involves moving earth or rocks out from a certain area to prepare it for construction. This includes basement excavation, which digs the earth out to prepare for a basement to be built. It also includes mud, rock, and topsoil excavation, all of which include removing the substance from the workspace. The process of pouring concrete is another major activity in construction. It is often used for the base of buildings, for roads, bridges, pipes, and other many applications. One of the reasons it has become so popular in the construction industry is that concrete is easy to make in large quantities, changes stage that is so easily to work with and manipulate. The fourth activity is carpentry. One of the first activities that comes to many people's mind when construction is mentioned is carpentry. This is a general cutting and installation of material that will be used in the construction of a structure. The fifth activity is brickmanship. Bricks has been used in construction for decades and are still used often today as a highly efficient material. Bricks masons lay the bricks, ensuring that they are laid in the way that is structurally sound. For example, laying each brick one on top of another allows for cracks to go on along the entire wall. If the bricks are offset, as you will see often, it makes several cracking of the mortar less likely. Sixth activity is plumbing. In structures that require plumbing, there are specific plumbing activities that must occur to ensure they will properly function. This includes putting in piping and fixtures for both incoming potable water and outgoing waste. Seventh activity is welding. The activity of attaching two metals together using heat is welding, a crucial action in construction used to bind metals, especially for structural purpose. Electrical. Individuals working as electricians on a construction product are responsible for ensuring that the structure will ultimately have full access to the electricity from the transformer provided by the electrical company, which is located close to the building. There are several steps that go into the installation of electricity in the build, including temporary electrical needs, a rough installation, and finally a real installation which will be used. The ninth activity is roof laying. Roofing is an important construction activity for ensuring the protection of a structures from the element and can be helped provide stability for the structures. There are different methods used for roofing. Shingles are common for residential roof, but there are also metals, polycarbonate, and steel roof, as well as many other which are used for different purposes. The 10th activity is glazing. This activity is basically anything to do with glass windows and doors in construction project. The term is used broadly to reference the installation of pretty much any glasses involved in the construction of a particular structure. The last activity in construction management is finishing. Finishing in construction means putting on a final touch of a structure in order to prepare it to be used. It is more often about final aesthetic touches and slightly less about safety and function, although all finishing activities are a crucial part of a final construction product. Next, we have to know who is the key players in construction. The first and foremost is the owner. Owner is also called client. Owner is the person who actually arrange money for a particular project. Owners is the real instinct who has to launch idea. Owner may be a person or a government. He provides funds. He is an funding agency for the project. Scope definition is also provided by the owner. The second key player is the contractors. Contractors can be divided into construction manager, general contractor, and subcontractor. Construction manager is a person who actually coordinates the construction process on behalf of the owner. Construction manager is not common in some countries. Usually in other countries, client assigns construction work to a construction manager who deals and manages all the things related to construction. General contractor is a person who actually executes the contract. He actually negotiates the contract with the client. He is the key person who is responsible to change dream of the owner into physical shape. The third contractor is a subcontractor. He is also a project player. It is also known as a special contractor. They actually provide facilities to the general contractor for a sub-projects. Next is the architect or engineer. Architect or engineer is a consultant. On behalf of the owner, engineer will take the responsibilities of the owners to undertake the smooth execution of the project. He is also coordinates with the contractor. Besides, designer may be an architect or an engineer. He designs the project on the basis of his previous experience. Designer must have pre-qualifications. Owner will select a designer which is expert in his work. The next key player is the supplier. A supplier is defined as a party that supplies goods or services. In construction, the goods includes any materials that goes into a built structure, while services refers to all different work packages agreed upon by different parties pertaining to the development of a built structure. The last key player is the construction labor force, which is the masons such as brick masons, brickstone masons, block masons, and cement masons. The fourth title for this video is Project Planning and Controlling. Construction project planning is the act of creating a development plan for a construction project. In general, the goals of a construction project plans are as follows. Define the work task for each entity involved in the project. illustrate the relationship between different work tasks and the individual entities that are performing those tasks, make decision about which technology used to bring about the successful completion of the work, provide a comprehensive assessment of all resources required to complete a project, use a plan to arrive at the timeline and budget for the project. Next, what are project controls? Project controls are processes for gathering and analyzing project data to keep costs and schedules on track. The functions of a project controls including initiating, planning, monitoring and controlling, communicating, and closing out the project costs and schedule. Ultimately, project controls are iterative processes for measuring project status, forecasting unlikely outcomes based on the measurements, and then improving project performance if those projected outcomes are unacceptable. The last part of this video is a successful construction. There are 5 main points to make a successful construction. The first is implement continuous planning. Construction managers should be starting planning long before a project begins and continue to revise and develop the plan until the project ends. The design, pre-construction, and procurement stages of each construction project requires immense planning, and each may need to be revised as the next phase begins. Anything can happen at the construction site. If you experience unexpected environmental problem during the pre-construction phase, design changes may be necessary. Slight adjustment can affect the whole plan and timing. The second factor is build an effective communication flow. Communication is crucial in every phase of any construction project. Building an effective communication flow will facilitate coordination between all parties. Transparent communication will make the process smoother and reduce the number of emails and phone calls whenever there is an issue. One of the simplest ways to create an effective communication flow is using a centralized communication system. By synchronizing comments, photos, documents, and calendars in one location, you can monitor the updates, calls, and scheduling changes as they occur. The third factor to make a successful construction is re-evaluate your workflow. The purpose of the construction management is to ensure that the project is completed on time, within budget, and reaches the target. However, even if the project runs well, you still have to evaluate it. It might be better ways to manage the project or overcome issues. Without a complete assessment, you will never know what can improve for better profits. The best way to have a successful construction project is continually evaluate the way you manage it. Ask involved parties to provide feedback on your workflow. The fourth factor is use an automated construction project management solution. An automated system allows you to save time and efforts managing each project. It enables you to generate reports instantly and share information with the right people at the right time. Not only does it benefit you as a construction manager, but also your team, subcontractors, partners, and stakeholders. The last factors to get a successful construction is control costs at a smarter way. The permits, wages, materials, and equipment required for a project are often exchanged between multiple financial sources and vendors. From the initial bidding process to the closing of a project, a construction managers are responsible for tracking and monitoring all the costs, especially those related to the initial budgets. Construction projects, no matter how small they are, contains hundreds of moving particles and individual costs. So, you need software to make it easier for you to manage and control the expenses. Project management systems helps you to estimate the budgets and revenue per project.